the show yet. So give me a second. I just want you to look good here. All right, we got you going here and over here. All right. All right, sweet. You're here. We're in. All right. All right, everybody. We're gonna bring on today's guest. How do you say your last name, Michael?
Mancuso.
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 Mancuso. I love that name. Everybody, put your hands together for Michael Mancuso from Austin's very own Steady Legends. Canceled. How'd we get canceled already? What the fuck just happened? All right, hold on. What's going on here? Son of a bitch.
You disappeared.
Oh, we're here. Holy shit. What a way to start the show, everybody. I don't know how that even happened, but we got canceled right off the bat here. So there you go. Bon, thank you for that alert. Good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with us and doing your thing. Yeah, you too. Thank you for telling us that. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. Sorry things were a little behind and everything's going wild, but I'm glad you made it on and you're here now and we're doing this right this second. So how you doing today, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Just got some work done. I'm working from home today. So,
oh yeah.
So thank you for having me on today.
Oh, no worries. It's my pleasure. What kind of work are you doing?
I work in audio visual.
Oh yeah.
A software company. So I'm an audio engineer, and I also work during the day doing the same thing.
do you enjoy that, or is it something that kind of gets monotonous for you?
Man, I like making a good salary working with some cool toys that I like playing with.
That's tight. So yeah, that works. No, I you gotta love that. You gotta love being in a field that you actually enjoy doing. It's like it's one of the fun things of life when you can actually bring your hobbies and your love of passions all into one sort of place and you're getting paid for it.
Yes, sir. I've got a TV mounted in every single room in my house pretty much. And when you work in AV, you learn how to mount a TV and run cable pretty quick.
So you're working, you don't have to tell me the company, but you're working with what kind of company again?
I can tell you, I work for Q2 Software. We're the company that named the soccer stadium in Austin.
Oh, okay.
And, I do like in-office AV support. So I manage conference rooms and the phone system, IT work, things like that.
Nice. Okay, so you're handy with the computers and such.
I guess so. They pay me to do it.
Is that what you went to school for? Did you go to college for that, or?
I went to school for audio engineering. So I went to school to work in a recording studio, do live sound, and I learned a lot about sound and audio from that. And then I made a very intentional move to get into audio visual because it was a field that I could take my knowledge of being in the music industry, being in the audio industry, and make a better salary than a musician makes.
Well, that's for fucking sure, man. I was a full-time musician until the pandemic came and it took my job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so but I was also doing like recording and engineering and stuff like that. But a lot of shit changed. Were you working throughout the pandemic?
Yeah. I was working from home. I did a whole phone system migration while I was working from home, so that was a fun project that I got to do. Decomming an on-prem phone system, stuff from that was 20, 30 years old.
Wow. That sounds
technology at least.
Yeah. It's crazy how fast technology moves, and working with something like the phone system, 30 years old, seems like it could be a little bit of pain in the ass, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come on here to talk about my day job.
Are you sure? We could just talk about. We're gonna talk. Listen, Michael. We're gonna talk about Tutu or whatever the fuck you said about your play. That's the whole show, bro. We're here to find out exactly what the Sorry, I don't mean to bring up your day job, but it is
No, it's okay.
fascinating to me, and you actually like it. So with your
I'll answer any question you want about my AV
with your
job.
no, I don't care about your AV job, but it is nice that you enjoy it. That is nice. I do appreciate someone who enjoys what they do with their time. But it's so you went to school for audio engineering. Do you do the audio engineering? Do you like mix and master your guys' your albums and stuff, or do you ship that off to like a mastering house?
I've done it for the longest time, and honestly, just recently for this newest EP was the first time I've had somebody else do our mixing for us. That was done by CJ Erickson. He's a producer who's worked with a lot of big name bands like Incubus, Smashbox 20. U2 was one of his big acts he's worked with,
Oh, sweet.
and it was done because I felt really confident about the material. I've done most of our audio engineering throughout our history as a band. I've done all the mixing, done some of the mastering. Sometimes I get someone to do the mastering for us, but this was the first time that I kind of took it out of the box myself and had somebody else do it. So it was a good experience. I mean, you can only squeeze so much creative juice out of yourself. And I write all the songs and I do all the engineering. Like I did all the recording for our EP. We went to a friend of mine's studio and I pretty much engineered the session myself while we were performing. And I came to a point where I'm like, I just don't have anything else to give these songs. So I got to get somebody else involved.
No, I get that, man. Sometimes you gotta like have a different set of ears to sort of take on that whole thing, and the time it takes to put into it, and the energy. Shit, man, it takes a lot to mix, especially. Yeah, and by the way, the new EP is out. Everybody, called "Say Hey," and I'm gonna drop some links in the chat here, y'all. So go and check it out. Exclamation point STL will bring up Steady Legends website and their new EP. I made a little song whip for you guys, so it made it easier. But so like you can click.
Give it a listen. Give
Yeah,
it a listen.
yeah. Go ahead, give us some streams. Run those numbers up, baby. And if you're listening on the audio side, make sure you go and click around in the show notes and get yourself some. But no, because you guys have such a big expansive band. You guys got a horn section, keys, guitar, bassy, drums. You guys are doing backup vocals. That's a lot, man. That's a lot to manage in a session. It's like once it gets that far and that big for me, my ADHD kicks in, and I'm just like, this is my brain's going to melt. Where do you usually start on a project that's that big?
I mean, are you talking about songwriting? You're talking about managing
I'm
the
talking
band,
about. I'm
like
talking
a
about.
show?
No. I'm talking about managing like a session, like mix section
Oh,
session.
doing a mix session. Well, when I mix a tune, I usually start by mixing the drums. I usually start with the kick drum because that's going to be driving throughout the song. I like to get that dialed in right away. Move to the snare, kind of get the kick and snare dialed in, get them EQ'd, get some reverb on them, make them sound real nice. And then I just start kind of building up the drum set from there, adding the overheads, start mixing the toms together, just make it sound like it's in a nice room. A drum set kind of sets the room for the entire mix. So
Yeah.
if the drums sound like they're in a nice room, the rest of the mix kind of ties in from that. If you're mixing live drums, a lot of times people today, they have a pre-mixed kick they've sampled and it just boom, 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 boom. It sounds like a basketball hitting the floor. So,
It does, bro.
I actually know somebody who made a recording of somebody that's like an actual basketball hitting the ground, and they use that as the kick drum.
As the kick, that's not a bad idea. It's honestly not a bad idea. Did it sound good? Was it good?
I couldn't honestly tell. He was a skilled engineer. He EQ'd it and like tuned it up, and I was like, I would never be able to tell that wasn't a basketball.
Oh man, no, you're absolutely right about that whole. If the drum mix isn't sounding great, then the rest of it kind of fall. It sort of encompasses what the drums sound like. I was listening to an old Jack Johnson song today, and I was listening to drums, and it sounds like it sounds like they recorded the drums in a basketball court, like in a high school gymnasium. It was just so it just rang out, like everything was just so fucking boomy, and like I was just like, this fucking sucks. Like
he records himself. He has his own studio in Hawaii, as far as I know. I don't know which record you were listening to, but as far as I know, he records a lot of his stuff himself. So that was a direct indictment on Jack Johnson.
Well, tighten it up, Jack Johnson. Which he has, which over the course, I think it was the album with Bubble Toes on it. So it's an older album. And I think when that was recorded, those big sounding drums were kind of popular at the time. time, like in the '90s.
Sure.
You know, like they had those really big boomy sounds. It's like, oh fucking like.
I mean, if he's
Miss me with that shit.
DIYing it, I actually have done some demos in like my living room many times, as a lot of musicians have.
Hmm.
And I was told by another friend of mine, he's like, I can hear the drywall in this recording.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. Like I've gotten used to a certain sound. Like I really like a tight drum set. I mean,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
like I even like. I mean, because Wolfpack. Are you familiar with them?
Oh yeah,
Wolfpack.
for sure. I love them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Joe Dart's my homie. That guy can fucking rip a bass.
Yeah, fucking incredible, incredible. And so wait, is he your homie in real life or just like you
No,
like him
I
a
just love
lot?
how he
Yeah,
plays.
okay,
I
okay.
like him a lot.
Yeah, me too. Fan of the whole band. Like they're all just super talented. I mean, you look at like how they record their drum set and like how tight it sounds. It just
Yeah.
and that's like super DIY as well. So it's
They're
like
minimalists too. Like
exactly
I feel like they put like one overhead and a kick mic and that's it.
for real. No, I got a friend who's in a band called oh shit, they're like a friend. They're out of San Diego. The Soul.
Are you out of San Diego?
I was. I lived in San Diego for about 13 years, and now I'm back
All
in the
right.
Midwest. I'm from Ohio, and I'm back in Ohio. But yeah, I lived out in San Diego for a good amount of time, and I still got a lot of friends out there. Why can't I remember his name? Reina, what's Tim Felton's name of his band? In any case, he records all onto analog,
Yeah,
uh,
tape.
all tape. He has like all the
Yeah.
old school preamps and all that shit, and then he dumps it into Prody and then edits
Yeah.
from there. But you know, it's sort of like following the whole like Daptones, Surefire Soul Ensemble. Thank you, Reina. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Surefire Soul
So
Ensemble.
I'll write that down.
Oh, they're incredible. They're like surf, old school surf funk, and
Love
like
it.
you would probably like them considering what you guys play. You probably really like them. But he does the same shit, man. He just has one overhead, one kick, and it just sounds so fucking badass. I mean, a lot of that I know is like he has a really good ear and he's able to sort of make that sound full. But
And the kit sounds good. I
yeah,
mean, I mean, you can make good sound shitty, but you can't make shitty sound good. So if you're recording a shit drum set with a
right.
shit drummer, it's not. It doesn't matter how many great preamps you run it through.
Right. Right. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, man. If the instrument's like that, he always has like a 1975 Ludwig on hand, so it's like,
Oh yeah,
you know, it's just he has all the shit, man. He has all the gear and stuff. My wife recorded an album, her first like not major, but her first EP there. And I mean, it just sounds incredible. I love that analog. So, do you have any experience working in analog, or is it all mostly
yeah,
digital? Yeah.
yeah. When I went to school, we had a Tascam. I think it was TS16 tape machine, a 1-inch tape machine.
Yeah, that's what he
I
has.
love the sound
Mhm.
of it. If you have a tight ass band, if you have a band that can come in and play live, and they don't need a lot of takes, they don't need a lot of editing, that it's a dope way to record a record. I
yeah.
personally don't work that way just because it's a lot of time. It's really difficult. It's more expensive because tape's just not as available as it was in the 70s when you could just burn it up and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You got to cut to edit if you're going to edit in tape. Nobody edits in tape anymore.
No.
But
Yeah, tape
I
and
learned how
shit
to cut
together.
tape. I was erasing that from my brain as soon as I was learning it. I was like, I'm never ever going to do this.
No, for real. Yeah, it seems ridiculous to do that now, but you know, there's some purists out there who are just like, I gotta do it like this, bro. And
They're probably 80 years old too.
no, you do meet those cats though who are just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's better, like analog's better, everything's better when you do it.
Oh man, believe me, I grew up, when I was in college with a bunch of audiophiles who love to just jerk off talking about how great the gear they have is. And I used to do that. I'm like, man, great preamp. I got this great, condenser mic. I got this Neumann U87, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I've come to the mindset that it really doesn't fucking matter what you record your record with, as long as it sounds good enough. No one's going to listen to your record and be like, whoa, what microphone did you record your vocals on? I've never been asked that question before.
Right.
Michael Jackson recorded his vocals on an SM57, which is a $100 microphone.
Yeah.
And nobody cares.
Yeah. Not one person gives a shit. No. I mean, like, I would be that person who's like, oh, that fucking mic is tits. But like, but for the most person, the average person who consumes music is not sitting there like, oh my God, what did they mic their kick drum with? I gotta know. It's not. No one gives a shit. But I think you're right. I think who cares, as long as the job can get done. If it sounds good, it sounds good. And I'm like the type of person who's like, I'll use software, fucking amps. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna get this. I gotta get this shit done.
I've just got over that hump of putting my guitar in DI. Honestly, I was, for the longest time, I would record my guitar through my amp, and honestly, still for distortion and rock guitar, I'm still like, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. I know I've like come up with a way to mic up my amp and do everything, and I'm like, I know exactly how I want to dial in my sound. But for clean tones and like doing reggae and stuff, like I recorded a song last night for a songwriting group I'm a part of, where you get a prompt every week and you have to record a song.
Oh, sweet.
I just did DI guitar for that. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not gonna like bust my amp out. I'm just gonna just do a rough little recording, and like I actually think it sounds pretty good doing a DI. You can just add some, an amp modeler like you said, or put some little compression on it with a plug-in, add some reverb. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, man. No, for real. Yeah, like, because sometimes you really do just got to get the job done. And depending on what you're doing, like if I'm just demoing something out, I'm not fucking micing anything. I'm just, everything's directed. Because when I'm working, I have to get everything out. Are you multi-instrumentalist? Are you someone who can play a lot of different instruments? Yeah, same. So it's like, if I'm just trying to get an idea out, and then I'm going to like give it over to a band or something to get, they can flesh out that live side of it. But if I'm just getting ideas out, just straight in, I'm not worried about it. And sometimes those demos come out great, and sometimes those demo become the actual final product, but it's still, it's like working quick, learning your workflow, I feel like is a very important part of, production and getting your, just getting a song out or getting an idea out. Do you have do you have a setup that's like all set up, ready to go at any time? Yeah.
So I've got like a Moto interface. I don't know. This is all blurry. Hang on.
That's all right.
Maybe I can turn off my background. But I got like a little rig right in front of me right here. I got like a stock channel. I got a LA 610. That's like my main channel. I track my bass through that, vocals through that. I got a little mastering compressor. I got an EQ. I just got like the basics just to do like one really good channel or two really good channels. I can record two, like a stereo setup really well, and I can mix through this. And if I'm doing drum tracking, I got to go somewhere else, but I can record pretty much everything else right here at my house. We did like a good chunk of the record, the Stay Legend EP, here at my house.
Oh, right on. Yeah, and it sounds great, man. It really does. It has a great big sound. It's like as soon as I heard what's the song? Let me look at your track list. I don't have it memorized here, but I think it's Say Hey. Yeah, it's Say Hey. Once that comes in, I was like, oh fuck yeah. I was like, I mean, it's just a huge sound.
That's a Frankenstein track. I could dive into what a Frankenstein track that is.
I mean, it hits though. It definitely hits.
Yeah, it slaps.
Yeah, and then I was playing a live version of it at the top of the show, and we had a lot of people in chat who were just like, "Oh shit!" So like it definitely has an awesome sound. You guys got like a unique thing going on where you kind of got like a conglomeration of different sounds that all come together, and because there's like, I mean, you guys have like almost like a whole reggae album, don't you? Like, isn't
so we changed singers. So if you notice that the first album has a different singer on it, that was kind of like, she sounded like Gwen Stefani. So, and I come from like a ska and reggae background. I played a whole ska punk album when I was in college, and I was in a ska band playing trombone in high school. So like that was my like first live band experience, was playing ska pretty much. So when I met her, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. So we recorded that album, and then we kind of parted ways. So we have a whole ska reggae album, and I still love writing reggae. I actually think that's the best type of song that I write. I just know how to put a reggae tune together.
Yeah.
But no, now our new singer Annalisa, she's got like a soul bluesy vibe, and we're kind of like trying to steer into that. But like, I'm a rock guitar player. I'm not like a the type of player that could have been the Dap Kings or played with Menahan Street Band, like, because I love that style, but I don't play like that.
Yeah.
I just I could play bass in a band like that. I played bass in a soul funk band for a few years, and if I changed instruments, we could change the band around, but I feel like that's not what Steady Legend is. Steady Legend was me playing guitar and writing the songs, and if I switch to bass, it's a different band.
Yeah.
So getting in the multi-instrumentalist thing.
Yeah, yeah, man. That multi-instrumentalist thing, I feel like is pretty useful. And I don't know. Do you feel like do you have an instrument that you feel like most confident in, or
oh yeah,
it was
the bass.
The bass, yeah.
I'm a kick-ass bass player. It pains me because I've had a lot of bass players come through the band, and I'm just like, I don't play like that. I learn songs really fast. Like, I'm a gun for a hire playing bass too. I play with a lot of like different bands. Just like I get hired like a day before a show sometimes.
Nice.
And I'm like, why is it taking you so long to learn my songs? They're not that hard.
Yeah. How did you so you got a good ear. Like, what was your background in music? Did you start on bass? Like, how did you develop your ear?
I've been playing my whole life. I started taking piano lessons when I was about 4. We had an upright piano in our house, and I just started noodling around on it. And like I come from a musical family. Like my mom's side of the family has a lot of musicians on that side, and my uncle was a touring bass player for a bunch of blues artists. He's a blues bass player, and he toured the world. And my bass is actually his bass. He gave me his 74 Fender jazz bass when I was 17. Nice. And that was when that was when I first started playing, real bass. Because before that, I just played like I had a Squire, electric guitar. And I didn't really know how to play it. Yeah. It was like the $100 beginner set you get before your parents are like, I'm not buying you, something that costs money. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. No, fair enough too.
Yeah. But yeah, I played bass. That was like, I love playing bass. I wish I could play bass and play guitar in this band. It would be really awesome. I feel like the rhythm section would be really on point every show.
Oh, if only we could do that. I feel you though.
Plug myself. I've actually put thought into sampling myself playing all the bass lines, but like my drummer's like, I'm not going to do that. You're not putting me on a click for live shows.
Oh shit, that's not. I mean, it's not the worst idea. Like there's plenty of people.
I don't got to pay anybody.
Exactly. Well, and that's another thing, right? Like you guys got a big band, so going out and playing gigs. That I can imagine that by the end of the night, when everybody's splitting up pay, that gets rough. That gets real rough. But I was I still am kind of, I guess. I was in a reggae band out in San Diego.
Oh, dope.
And, for some shows, the minimum was like 6 or 7 people. But then is it Morby? Welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. But like if we were playing bigger shows, it was like 10 motherfuckers up there, like horn sections and 2 percussionists.
You have a triangle player get on stage and you're like, where's my $100?
Yeah. Yeah, by the end of it, it's like everybody gets pizza tonight, guys. That's all. That's your pay, because that's all we're getting.
We have a cooler full of light beer. Let's go nuts.
3-2 beer. Yeah, no,
you were in the reggae scene in San Diego, huh? So our old bass player, he moved back to San Diego. He was there for a long time. He played in a band called Sonny Rude out there.
Oh, cool. I've never heard of him, but yeah, no, I was definitely involved in the reggae scene out there. I got a lot of homies in the reggae scene, like a lot of the Cal Roots. Are you familiar with the festival Cal Roots? California Roots Festival.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
They do a thing every year up in Monterey, but Tribal Seeds, Hyrie. Yeah. There's I can't remember all of them.
Yeah, we played with some of those bands before. We played with the Expendables, played with Revolution.
Yeah. Revolution's awesome. We got some homies in Austin, Lion Heights, who they're pretty.
Oh bad. Yeah. That's where we recorded the EP at Dane, the bass player's studio.
Oh, right on. Hell yeah.
Dane is my homie. He's my real homie.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Those dudes are rad, man. We played a couple sets with them South by Southwest
nice
a few years ago. But yeah, man, I fucking love Austin.
No,
I
good
love,
dudes.
yeah, fucking solid, and they're all solid players, and they got a great sound going. But yeah, man, I really do dig the reggae shit, man. It's cool to see sort of this reggae scene sort of you know, coming to life here in the States, you know, because there's definitely a Americanized, bastardized reggae
Oh
sound
yeah.
that's coming
The
out.
SoCal reggae
Yeah,
sound. I mean, it was kind of birthed by Sublime, and it's
right.
been kind of just been going ever since.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely where it started, man. And it's interesting to see it sort of spread across the whole country. Just in these last 10 or so years, even
Oh yeah.
it's really sort of expanded out, and now you see all these different reggae festivals like in Florida and Texas, on the East Coast, definitely West Coast. There's tons of them, Washington and shit. But it's really cool to see. What were your like? You like reggae, I take it, but
Oh
who are
yeah.
some of your people that you really dig on? Some bands.
Reggae, I mean, it's all over, man. Like I like SoCal reggae, but I like the Jamaican stuff, the
Yeah.
first wave ska to reggae stuff, Bob Marley, obviously. I listen to like a lot of reggae covers actually. I'm really into like popular music that's been done in reggae style. And there's
Yeah.
like this crew of German musicians who have like perfected making reggae covers. And I can't remember what they're called, but I have a whole playlist of them. And I'm just like, this is like extremely well produced reggae music. And it's all like super popular songs, like stuff that you hear on the radio. I'm like, I really dig on that because a lot of reggae songs are very simple. They're
Yeah.
just, 1/4, just there's two chords, the whole song. And like, these are like, well written songs that are done in a reggae style. So they're not as simple. So they're, I mean, more exciting to listen to, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig that. I dig that. That's such a fucking cool tradition too. That's been just sort of passed along when they're taking these fuck what this. Come on. Okay. Well, there we go. We can't remember shit. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But we get what we're saying. We know what's going on here. I wish I knew who it
Yeah.
was more.
Vintage Reggae Cafe. They're called Vintage Reggae Cafe.
There you go.
This, yeah,
Vintage Reggae Cafe Morby.
yeah,
Morby's Das German. So she's probably like, what's up? What's up with that
yeah.
German
Like I'm
reggae?
looking at one of the songs off their record. They did a song by Lana Del Rey called Blue Jeans, and I was like, oh, that's a dope cover. And they did like Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics. They did it reggae style. I was like, man, this is dope.
Hell yeah. We Speak Memories good. Yeah,
Yeah.
all that I do. So with the band, you're the primary songwriter now. Do you write lyrics and stuff too, or do you usually hand that off to? Yeah, you write it all.
I write everything pretty much. I pretty much put together a full song before anybody else in the band will even hear it. I will write like I either come up with like a melody, like a lyric or a horn line. Like say hey it was a horn line. That the horn line was the first thing I wrote for that song. And then I kind of like I draw up a roadmap. I'll drop a chord progression. I'll kind of like figure out a way to take the song from A to B, and I'll write up a horn chart. I chart out all the stuff for the horns, and that really helps with the revolving door of horn players that a band like us will
Hmm.
have. I can just shove a chart in front of a guy and be like, go. I don't have to like sit with them and be like, all right, here's how you play this. It's in this key. It's like it's all there. I wish I could do that for every instrument. It's harder when you got like keyboards. It's more like here, hold the chord and do a pad. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I usually have like a roadmap. I'll bring it to the band rehearsal, or I'll meet with the singer beforehand if I need to get some lyric tweaks. But most of the time, I'll just bring it to the band and be like, all right, let's flesh this out, and I'll sing it at first, and then I'll kind of teach her on the fly, or I'll meet with her and we'll come up with something. We'll come up with harmonies if we're singing together, and then it'll either live or die in the practice room. It'll either come to life and it sounds really good, or we need to kind of put it on the back burner, maybe revisit it another time, or it's just like the song sucks and it dies.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, are you do you try to are you very particular on what you want to hear, or are you someone who lets sort of the band take it and do what they will with it?
Usually like once it's to that point and I bring it to the band, like I let everyone come up with their own part, except for the horns. Usually the horns I have written what they need to play, and they'll get maybe a solo, but I found that just works a lot better to have it charted out, because horn players, they'll start messing around when they shouldn't be playing if you don't have them on a chart sometimes. You know, I've just experienced that. But yeah, like the drummer's been in the band since 2014, so usually I won't even write a beat. I'll just be like, all right, here's how I imagine it sounding. I'll kind of sing a drum part for him, and he'll come up with something, or he might come up with a different idea. Like one of the songs on the record, Another Man in Line, like that like disco beat he started doing in the chorus, like that, he just started doing that when we were playing that song at practice. And I was like, oh shit, this like took this song in a whole other direction. So that was cool. And it does the kind of organic stuff that, you know, when you have a band you're comfortable with, you can get that spontaneity out of it. You know, and it's tough when you've got a big band to like have that camaraderie, but I've got it at least with the drummer. You know, we can work some ideas out together.
Yeah. Does that ever cause any rifts that you come up with all the material? Like, is there anybody who ever is like, well, what about my song, bro?
If anyone in the band listening to this wants to bring a song to the table, bring a song to the table. I've been waiting for someone to step up and write. I feel like it's intimidating because I don't want to, I am a like experienced songwriter. I've written songs for a long time. I've written a lot of songs, and I just know how to do it. And if you haven't written a barrel full of songs, your first songs are probably going to stink.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to learn how to do it. It's a craft. It's not something you can just like cough up and you've written a Grammy winning song. It takes a lot of really bad songs to become a good songwriter.
Yeah, I agree. Are you someone who like sets aside time for writing, or are you the type of person that sort of when the spirit moves you, you're like, oh, this is a good idea?
It's tougher now because I'm married. I got a kid on the way, and it's tougher to set aside that time to write. Like when I was in college, when I was a younger man, I could just close myself up in my room, smoke a bowl, and just get my guitar out, and something's gonna come out of me. You know, I'm gonna write something. And now it's just harder to like find that time, find that headspace. You know, it's when you're creative, it's really about getting in the right headspace. You know, you can't just flip off, you know, husband mode, you know, work mode, and just get into creative mode. You got to ease into that, and like it's got to be, you know, the right mindset, because you can't. When you force yourself to write, the weirdest stuff comes out of you. Like I've like sat down and been like, I'm writing a song right now, and it's like, it's terrible. I'm like, I should never do that again. Like songs that I should never see the light of day, you know, like, but, you know, it's tough to get in that mindset now as we get older. And like, I feel like I'm better at spending my time. Like I wrote this song for this songwriting thing I'm doing every week, and it came out pretty cool. I had to smoke a bowl to get there, you know? So,
yeah.
But, you know, and a lot of times when I smoke, I write reggae. So it's just kind of, you know.
It's hand in hand, bro. It's hand in hand.
It's just like, gotta hit that offbeat, you know, it just gets you right there.
Fuck, man. No, I was thinking that the other day. I've taken a break from smoking weed, and
I don't smoke much anymore, but when I have to write something, I'm like, I need it.
Well, that was the whole thing. Like right now, I'm in the middle of I'm about to release a single on my own, and I'm editing the video together right now for everything, and I'm just sitting there like, man, I should just smoke some weed, and maybe things will work out better, because right now I'm feeling, I don't know, there's something about weed too for me that helps me sort of get past that burden of starting and the burden of sort of like, you know, like getting, like right now I just don't feel as connected as I want to be connected to what I'm doing. And there's something about weed that sort of breaks down that barrier for me. And it helps me really connect, and it helps me. I mean, you know, I'm talking
that
about
headspace.
Yeah,
that
exactly,
headspace, man. You got to get in. Like, I know exactly where. Like, it's like this magical. Like, you get an uplink to the stars or something when you start getting those creative ideas in your head. You're like, when you start writing a song, you're like, boom, the pipeline's open. It's all in my brain right now. Yeah. And you know, you write a song in like, you know, an hour. And other times you're like, that pipe isn't open, and you're like, I've got nothing right now.
Yeah, for real though, for real. And that's how I've been kind of feeling. Just sitting there is more okay on weed. Yeah, for real, Morby. It does. Just staring at the wall is better when you're just high. But but like I made this thing where I'm like, I'm gonna just take a break and I'm gonna, because there's been a lot of awesome things that's happened from taking a break from smoking, but like in these moments where I'm like, man, I gotta create, or I also do editing, video editing, and
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
for other like for other things, for other people, for contract, and like even working on that is like, man, like just smoking weed and just diving into it and just letting your brain sort of swim and have fun and like, go places. I'm just sitting there like, I don't want to do this right now. I'd rather be doing something else. And
I mean, that's that ADD mindset,
it
like
is.
sometimes I'll start working on like or I'll be at work, I'll be working on something. I'm like, I just need to go like pace around the house for a couple of minutes just to like be able to focus. I actually got a prescription for Adderall and it's really helped me. It's really helped me.
That's awesome. Yo, hey, if it helps, it helps.
Just be able to sit still. Like I'm 34 years old and like I still have trouble sitting still.
You see me going back and forth. This is me all day. Like I'm just, or I'm like swaying back and forth, or I'm making little beats on my. It's fucking ridiculous. And yeah, man, were you apprehensive to taking medication?
I always thought it might hurt my creativity. I thought it would make me less creative to be on medication, and it hasn't changed me at all. It's just really made me, it slows things down a little, My brain's going like 1,000 miles an hour sometimes. So I'm just like, I have one idea and then another idea pops into my brain and it just takes over my brain. I'm like, I chase that rabbit and then I forget about the direction the other rabbit went in. I have to go find that. And, and this is kind of like just slowed the rabbits down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I understand completely what you're saying. Just being so, your mind being so, just moving at such a rapid pace that you sort of lose track of what you're doing. You lose track of like the idea you had over here. It like I've really had to learn how to write things down.
For sure.
And I started taking medication. I went the other way. I did non-stimulant. There's like there's a non-stimulant ADHD drug. And it fucking made all the difference. And what's crazy is that I've always had this problem with just like mood fluctuations and just just being when impulsive and making these stupid decisions and
for sure.
I've always just, I've just always been against medication, and I'll smoke weed, and I'll meditate, and I'll take some mushrooms, and everything's going to work out fine. Fuck medication. But as soon as I found the correct medication, I'm like, oh, this is what being a human fucking being is like.
It's a real deal, man. Like sometimes people, I think there's some people who take medication who don't need it necessarily, but for the people who do, like it really can make a huge difference, especially if you're battling depression or things where your brain chemistry just doesn't work right. Like I've been depressed before and been to those dark places, and you need every bit of help you can to get out of those places. I've written some great songs when I've been depressed.
Yeah.
You look into the darkness and you write a song, like that can help you cope. I have friends who talk to me openly about their depression, and medication's one of the lifelines to get yourself out of those things. So no, I'm definitely not anti-medication. I'm against abusing it for people who don't need it. People who ask if they can buy my Adderall from me. I'm like, do you need this? I know you're not maybe if you're a student, you're trying to write a paper or something, I'll be like, sure, okay, you have a reason. But you're like, I just like how it makes me feel. I want to go snort a line and go to the bar.
Exactly. No, that was the other thing I was worried about. I was like, 'cause I don't like stimulants, but when I was a kid, when I was like 13, I discovered you could snort Ritalin, and I just went to fucking town on it, bro. I was just like, oh shit, let's go, So
you're starting early. I was in college before I saw someone snort a line of a pill.
Yo, I was left to my own devices a lot as a kid, and so I just sort of learned from the wrong people all the wrong things. So
it seemed like you turned out okay.
yeah, whatever. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm probably at my best now that I've ever been, but like, it still was a long journey getting there. Lots of substance abuse, but you step away from it, and like stepping away from weed for a little bit. It's just one of those things where I was noticing that I was using it as a crutch, and it wasn't it wasn't fun anymore. And I'm like, oh, I know what this is. You know, like I've been here before with harder drugs, and it's like this isn't really doing anything for me anymore. This is like just so I can feel normal
Yeah,
and
it's
like
status quo,
yeah.
status quo drug. I have a friend battling alcoholism right now, and he's
Mm,
just like, I need it just to like get through my day. I start getting the shakes, and it's
yeah.
like he needs it to take the edge off just his day. And it's like, if you could not do that, you probably would feel a lot better day to day. Like you
For
wouldn't
real.
want to tell me you're gonna, jump off a bridge when we're,
Yeah.
trying to have a good time right now. So
Right.
yeah, I totally understand that. You do have to step away sometimes. Sometimes it starts ruling your life.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It is ridiculous, and you know, I know addiction is hard. I'm definitely an addict of you know, but like if you don't take a break, you're never gonna know who you really are. And like stepping away from alcohol for me was the biggest thing for me. It was like, oh shit, this is this was me getting my humanity back, and because I started early. I started early as a
yeah,
young person, so it was something that sort of culminated until I was 30,
yeah.
and then I quit, and then there was like a whole world opened up. Have you ever been dependent or close to dependent on things, or have you always sort of like been able to sort of get your shit back and not go too far?
I used to smoke a lot of weed when I was a younger person.
Yeah.
Like I was a everyday, all day smoker for a few years. So I wouldn't say that that was like, I've never been addicted to anything hard. I've been pretty good at staying away from, recreation. I've done psychedelics, I've done coke before, things like that. But when I was younger and I didn't have, a family, so I've made it, and when I work, I have a regular job, and those are things I left in the past.
Yeah.
And I've just been around addiction, though.
Yeah.
I've been around it. There's people who I've known throughout my life who are no longer on the planet due to addiction. I think we all know people like that
Yeah.
these days. Like fentanyl is a real problem right now, and so I also think that keeps me away. Just seeing how much pain it can cause as well.
Yeah. No, that see, you learned. You saw, you observed, and you
Well,
learned.
I had a mom who like was vigilant about making sure I wasn't going to be an addict or anything. I had my wisdom teeth out when I was 17, and I was prescribed Percocet and painkiller, and she locked them up. She
Damn.
was like, "No, you are going to take these when I give them to you.
Yeah.
You are not getting these painkillers." She kept that shit away from me.
That's
So
that's
good
good.
on her.
Yeah, no, for real. Like that's awesome. I was left to my own devices, and so like I was just sort of latchkey in a way. But my dad got ran over when I was young, like in high school. He got
Mm.
ran over by a truck, and so when he finally came home from Nader Tater, good to see you, buddy. The when he came home from rehabilitation, he was given. This was when like OxyContins were like at their peak.
Yeah.
And he had Percocets, OxyContins, and they were just giving it to him like, okay, whatever you want, whatever you want. And so it was just like this direct line of opiates that I was just like, oh, sweet.
Uh,
I was like selling them and eating them.
Yeah, exactly. You're not only given fun for yourself, but you were given like a way to
Everybody
enterprise.
was having fun. What's fucked up is I've probably led more people down that terrible road than I would like to admit. And you know, you could say like
You didn't know any better, to be honest. You
maybe
didn't know any better.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I wasn't sitting there like, yeah, we were just partying, right? As kids, we were
Yeah.
just having a good time. But
Your
then,
brain's not fully developed either. When
no,
you're like 18 years old, your brain is like you're a kid,
yeah,
and it took me a while to realize what a moron I was when I was, 18 years old. And looking back, it's like I have more like, I guess, sympathy for younger people who are like trying to act a certain way. You're like, you have no idea who you are at
right,
this age.
no,
And it's like it's a responsibility as you get older to be like more of a mentor. When you're younger, you take, and you just are living for yourself. And as you get older, you start giving back what you've learned. That's like the responsibility of getting older, and maturity is just starting to give back those lessons you learned. And you learn those lessons about, substance abuse and things like that. Those are things that you can give back.
absolutely, yeah. No, it's because I have a son, and by the way, congratulations on
Oh,
the kid
thank
on
you.
the way. Are you guys excited? Was this a
Oh
was
yeah.
This planned? Were you guys planning, or was it a pleasant surprise?
It wasn't a surprise, but it was a surprise that it happened when it did, I guess. It was like for a while we had wanted it to happen, and we didn't really think it was going to be this time. And I guess, when it happened, we were like, great, it's the right time for us. We were like getting into our mid-30s, and we're like, it's either now or is it ever going to happen? So, it was the right time, and we're really excited. I'm excited to be a dad. I hope he has rhythm. I keep saying this. I'm like, I hope he's born and he has rhythm. How old's your child?
My son's 8. He's 8, and he sings like a motherfucker, but he's not interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking. But you know what? It's like maybe he's talking about what he wants to be these days, and he's talking about like lawyer. And I was like that, or a gamer. He wants to be a gamer, and I don't know. That's you can do that now, especially with platforms like Twitch and YouTube. You can make a living off it, but it's very difficult living to make.
Yeah.
But he can sing his ass off, but he kind of rejects the whole musician thing.
Wait till he gets a little older and that voice gets him some ladies.
Yeah,
see.
And he's a really good looking dude too. So like he's gonna see what happens. He has like long hair, and he's just like
such a he's gonna be a lady killer.
Oh, he's gonna smash. He's gonna smash and dash. But I'm not encouraging him to smash and dash, but it's gonna be a situation, man. He's already like humping shit, like he's already like
at 8.
He's such a boy. He's such a boy. So it's definitely.
Oh, that's funny. I've seen that kind of happen. Like my wife's sister, she's got 3 kids, and when I met her, they were little boys. Like one was an infant and one was like 3. So they're like, little tiny babies. And now they're, boys, like 8 and 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're boys. And they're like, Mom, I just got out of the bathtub. I washed my balls.
I love them, man.
Yeah, it's like that's the kind of stuff they're saying to their mom now. It's like, oh, I just took a poop.
Yeah.
And it's like, it stinks like a man's poop. It's not like a little baby poop anymore. So, yeah, I just got that exposure. It's like to be ready for like, oh, it's a cute little baby. And it's like, poof, they're like a little boy now. It's like, stink.
Yeah, little stink bots, yo. So, do you know what the sex is yet?
Oh yeah, it's a boy.
Oh shit! He's gonna be coming out like, dude, I just washed my dick. I'm ready.
Man, I'm worried because I was a crazy kid. And I drove my parents nuts. So I'm really scared I passed along this crazy seed, and I'm gonna have like the time of my life raising this kid. But we'll see. He might be more like his mom and more calm.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. That's the fun of having kids. Is like you don't know what's gonna come out of the situation. And,
the genetic cards have been put into the shuffle, and we're drawing a card. We'll see which card we get.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. You're gonna like it. It's definitely one of those things, and you're like. And you're open to it, and you're like excited about it, So like that
we're
helps.
Already looking at daycares, man. Like we're prepared. In Austin, apparently it can be like a year before you can get on a daycare. Like the wait lists here are crazy because of staffing problems. And they're paying people who work at these daycares $11 an hour. I'm like, they're paying people that rate to like watch people's kids. I'm like, there's some messed up stuff in this country. Yeah. That's messed up to me. The people who handle our children are the least paid in the country.
I agree. It's like what they try to pay teachers, these teachers and
they should be paid. They should be paid like doctors, and our whole country would be a lot better.
Exactly. If we have enough money to bail out all these fucking asshole corporations who just take and destroy the environment, and we can afford to fucking fund some shit for our teachers.
I got an idea for Congress, and I heard this from a coworker of mine. Everybody in Congress should wear the brands that are sponsoring them, the companies that sponsor them, like NASCAR. Like you got to show up wearing a suit that's like, DuPont or Shell Oil, whatever, NRA. You got to show up to Congress wearing all of those brands. If you accept money from them, you've got to paint it on your shirt.
Oh, bro, I'm with that. I am with that. So we know who's who and what's what. No, our Congress is such a fucking joke, man. Like the amount of insider trade, the insider trading is so horrible and prevalent that there's websites that track they're trading, and people are making good money off of tracking Congress people and senators' trading habits. It's fucking nuts. Did you know that it's only like $200 fine, $200 fine if they get caught insider trading?
That's ridiculous.
Thank you, Morby. Oh, Nader Tater. Thank you so much for that gifted sub, my friend. I really appreciate you. This is for you. You know what? Since I know where your brain's at, Nader, this is for you, sir. Oh shit! Hold on.
Hello and welcome to We Speak English Good TV. I'm your announcer, Seth Rogen. Now everyone put your doobies in the air or your hands together, whichever you prefer, for your host, Mike E.P. Yay!
Thank you, Nature Tater. I appreciate you. Hey, Nature Boy. Thank you, Reina, for that. Woo, I appreciate that. I'm sorry, that was such a distraction, but we were talking about Congress.
Oh, it's all good, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. It's your show.
Hey, well, I mean, we were talking about what were you saying though? Do you remember what you were saying?
You're talking about insider trading. How's a $200 fine for like people who do insider trading? I mean, they make the rules, and they all the things they can pass is a race for themselves.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna get done in this country, and I mean, the pendulum is swung so far to the right now that you just got to wait for it to swing back. But we'll see what state the country's in even when it swings back. The world's on fire right now. It's 110 in Austin today. It's like it's like the world is literally going to catch on fire eventually.
Yeah.
The people are like, oh, well, the earth, we're in so much trouble. It's like the earth is going to be fine. The people who live on it are not. You don't understand. Like the earth is just going to continue on. It's not like it's going to spin off into outer space.
No.
We're not going to be on it though. So we could change and live on it, or we can just become machines. That's probably the only thing that we're going to be good at doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys got Elon there, so maybe he can hurry up that whole process of turning us into robots.
I don't really like Elon Musk, honestly. I've listened to him talk. He just sounds like the most pompous douche I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I actually interviewed for a job at Tesla, and the job I interviewed for, I was like, oh, we get to like talk to Elon. It's like they only hire people who worship him. So I was like, I don't really like have any celeb worship like ounce in me. Like if I met somebody who's super famous, maybe like if I met like the president, or if it was like Barack Obama, who I like really respect, I'd be like, okay, like I met somebody that like I thought was pretty cool. Or, like a really good musician, I'd be like, I'm wowed by their talent. But like celeb worshiping is stupid. It's like they're just another pissing and shitting on human being. Who cares?
For real though, yeah, their farts stink just as bad as mine. So fuck them.
Exactly. Exactly. Fuck them.
Well, like with the pandemic, you guys had sort of an influx of people sort of coming into Austin, and you have Joe Rogans and the Elon stuff, Tech Daddy, Elon Tech Daddy, yeah, a capitalist.
Yeah, he's got like 12 kids. 2 daddies, an appropriate term for that dude.
Yo, and it was just found out that he had twins last year or something
with his assistant or something.
That dude is just out there fucking. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, have you noticed anything about Austin with this sort of influx? And I know that more people.
The drivers fucking suck, dude. Nobody knows where the fuck they're going here. If the drivers are a unique kind of terrible in Austin, and like number one, I'm a very good driver. I've driven the same car for 17 years, and it's turned into a mess recently because somebody plowed into me, they T-boned me, and then somebody backed into me and didn't leave a note or anything. So the guy who T-boned me, he stopped, and I got some money from insurance for that. My door's still all messed up. I haven't gotten it fixed yet. But somebody backed into me at some parking lot. So now my old car, I have a 2005 Toyota Highlander, is all messed up.
Oh,
So I
shit.
drive around town. I got a bunch of dings and dents all over my car. I actually don't even care because people are so terrible at driving that it's like, whatever. Like, it's just best to have some dents on your car because it's not really worth it having a nice car. People are going to run into you because they suck at driving. Like, people genuinely struggle to get their car up the road. They're like, they're looking at the sky, driving 20 miles an hour, getting onto the highway, wondering, why is everybody honking at me?
Dude.
So people who move here from somewhere else, they just have no idea how to get around.
Oh
That's
my
really what I'm
God.
getting back to.
That was how it was in San Diego. Like, it's such a transient city that is that right? Yeah. Okay. There's so many people from so many different places, so many walks.
Transplants.
Yeah, there's so many transplants there that no one had any kind of cohesive driving methods. When it rained, there was accidents.
Oh,
people
the rain here, same here. It's like the world is coming to an end. If there's a raindrop that falls from the sky, it's like it's panic. It's like that picture of like it's like snowing and there's like a car on fire and it's like I don't know if you've ever seen this picture on the internet. It's like it's just like that here. You know, the South with where it's sunny most of the time.
I'm like wanting to see that picture now.
Oh, there's a picture. Let's see if I can find it for you. Snowpocalypse, maybe.
Hold on. Is this?
Oh, there it is. You got it. Yeah, you got it. That's it.
That's pandemonium. Well, you guys have been having snow and shit, which is so
that was
weird
last
too.
year. That was miserable because we lost power for 3 days.
Wow.
And there's parts of the city that didn't. So I mean, we had it was probably 6 to 8 inches of snow, and the electrical grid shut down in many parts of the state. So they prioritized power for like the important parts of the city where there's like a hospital on the grid.
Right.
And we didn't have power in our neighborhood for 3 days. And luckily we have gas. So we had our stove working and our hot water heater working. So we were able to boil water and our water pipes didn't freeze. Like, it was 0 degrees here. It was like, it's colder than it ever gets here. So all the gas lines to the gas power plants froze. The windmills weren't running and the solar panels weren't working. So, all the Republicans are like, oh, the renewable energy failed us. It's like, well, you forgot to mention that the gas lines to your fossil fuel plants froze, you asshole. So yeah, it's just fucked here. Honestly, Texas is a fucked state. We're probably going to move away once we have the kid.
Yeah. I mean that's what I have family in Texas. I like Texas, but it is kind of a fucked up state, especially if you're not politically aligned with it. And I have family in San Antonio, so San Antonio is a nice city. I love Austin.
Yeah.
I fucking love Austin, but I've heard this whole thing like Austin is great except that it's surrounded by Texas and
yeah, I mean there's some endearing parts of those like country areas of Texas, and it's just like it's just a tough place to live if you are. And I'm not even like a progressive person in terms of the world. Like if you look at like European politics, like American Democrats are like the conservatives of parts of Europe. So it's like in America, we're so far to the right that it's like we can't even think about like what does true progressiveness look like. And it's like I just can't live in a state where anyone can buy a gun. We have more mass shootings in this state than any other place in the country. No one wants to actually do anything about it. And it's just too much. It's too hot here too. It's 110 today. I can't live in. And my pregnant wife she's going crazy. She won't leave the house right now.
Oh jeez, I couldn't imagine, man. That's fucking like Vegas. That Vegas temperature, man. That's.
I was just in Vegas last month, and they're so much better about conserving their water, which is like something we need to start doing here. Like the Hoover Dam is empty right now.
Yeah,
and at least they have a lot of recapturing of water, and they don't have any lawns there. It's like you can't really have a lawn there. Right. So. They're just better about conservation of water. Not good enough. They're going to run out of water just like every other Western city is in the next 10 or 20 years. But, that's another thing that's coming up the pipe that we need to work on. And America's definitely not ready for the amount of water demand. Like I said, like you talk about how many people moved to Austin. It's like 10 years ago or 2011, we had a summer that was just like this where it didn't rain the entire summer. And we had a horrible drought. And we're in the same condition right now. It hasn't rained since maybe April, like in any significant amount. And the lake is drying up. That's where we get our water from. And we probably have another 1 million people since 2011 here.
God,
so
damn.
The more demand on water, more demand on energy. We're predicting rolling blackouts here, and it's like the summer's barely started. We still have a whole another 2 months of 100 degrees. It won't cool down until October here.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing those pictures of like Lake Mead and shit all drying up, and they're finding like bodies and fucking cars that were thrown into the lake and shit because it's all receding.
Oh yeah, they're finding all the mob bosses who dumped the bodies from the casinos that got built in the 50s.
Yeah, man, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like I live in northern Ohio, so we have like the Great Lakes, which is just so much fresh water. So. I live in Ohio and I hate it. I did not want to move back here, but like San Diego's facing the same shit. It's basically a desert with a beach. So, and the only reason why there's any green there is because we're piping water in, and so
from the Colorado River.
Exactly,
that's where all of the water comes from in the West.
Yeah, and that's depleting so quickly. So like moving back to Ohio, it was rough for me. It was rough. That first winter was fucking horrendous. But
when you lived in San Diego for that long and go to Ohio, oh god,
it was fucking awful. But I don't know. But as I'm getting older, as my son's getting older, as I'm seeing the world change, this country change, I'm thinking more and more that this living in a smaller town and in this generally safe part of the world where there's not too many natural disasters. Like you might get a tornado, but it's not like fucking hurricanes or massive drought or fucking like.
We need a hurricane here. We need a hurricane in Central Texas right now because it would fill the lake back up. And I mean, we're far enough inland where like the hurricane would probably like dissipate enough where like it wouldn't cause like horrendous damage, but like the ground's so dry, it's like we could probably take 10 inches of rain and it wouldn't flood.
yeah, man. You just absorb. Just go right into
Honestly, like my backyard is a desert right now. Like all this, we had some nice grass in this spring and it's like it's dead. It's literally just like dirt and dust right now.
Yeah, man. No, I can't imagine. Like, and I know that right now, all these cities, especially a city like Austin, which is a pretty popular city, and especially with more people, more people sort of moving in all the time. That I can imagine the price of living down there is probably pretty fucking outrageous right now. How is that?
Austin is extremely expensive. I mean, when I moved here in 2011. The first summer I lived here was this horrible drought summer. And I was like, that was my intro to Austin summers. So like every other summer after that, I was like, man, this is really nice. It's like 95. Oh, that's fine. When it was like 105 every day, we had over 100 days of 100-degree weather that summer. And we're going to probably break that record this year.
Jesus.
So that back then, Austin wasn't as expensive. My first rent was $282 a month for a 4-bedroom house. So it was like $1,100. And I lived in like a shithole house with 3 other dudes, and I'm in my early 20s. And it's like, so you can't do that anymore here. You're going to be paying probably $1,000, a person to live in a shithole. And my wife and I are lucky because we bought a house in 2019. And I mean, it's probably over doubled in value since we bought it. But now with interest rates going back up with home loans, I just don't see the price of real estate continuing to go up. It's probably going to level out. Yeah. And I mean, we're dealing with inflation. We're dealing, with gas prices that are $4.50 a gallon here, which is probably the cheapest in the country.
Morgana, thank you so much for that sub. I appreciate you. Good to see you. I'm sorry you're not feeling well right now, but I got something for you that maybe it will make you feel a little better.
Hello. And welcome to We Speak English Good TV. I'm your announcer, Ron Swanson, and now I'm asking you to put your hands together in a clappy noise for your host, Mike E. P. Fanfare. Wonderful.
Thank you, Morgana. I appreciate you. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, man. All these cities are eating shit right now with inflation, with all this, everything that's going on. That's really awesome that you own your property down there, and that you're going to probably make out really well when you guys do decide to leave. You're not originally from Austin, right? You moved there. Where'd you move from?
Yeah. I've lived all over the country growing up. I was born in Pennsylvania, and I lived there until I was 10. Then I lived in Colorado for a few years, and then I spent my high school and colleges in North Carolina. So kind of came of age in North Carolina. I went to college in Asheville.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, Asheville's dope. That's a beautiful part of the country.
Fuck yeah.
I would live there again, but when I was old, maybe like in my 60s.
Yeah.
We were just there in May for a wedding of a buddy of mine. Kind of a disaster because they tested positive for COVID the day before the wedding. So it was kind of a disaster of a wedding, but he's one of my good buddies, and I was glad I got to at least be there and celebrate with him.
Yeah.
But it was so beautiful there, and it was already hot in Austin in May.
Yeah.
So when we went out there and I got off the plane and it's like 70 in the middle of the day, I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful here. And so it's a beautiful part of the country, and it actually rains there.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
but yeah, we're
gorgeous.
probably going to move back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And like my folks live in Wilmington, which is on the beach. And so I'm looking for a job where I can be remote, and then we'll probably move to Wilmington.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So what, you guys gonna stick it out for a couple years after the baby, or?
Yeah, it was playing it by ear, like we're gonna have a baby, kind of adjust to that, change. Our life's gonna change, see how that goes, and then probably be moving to there and dictated by the job. If I get a job there, we're able to work. Be able to live on one income, because I doubt we're both going to be able to get a new job at the same time.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And drama queen. What the hell? You added something, Reina? Now I'm the drama king? How dare you? How dare you, Reina? I've been noticing a lot of people sort of making these exodus from these bigger cities. Like me and my wife left San Diego a while ago, and
did you have your son when you lived in San Diego?
We did. We had him for a couple of years, but we lived in this really cool little beach town called Ocean Beach out there. And when I first got out there, sort of like you, it was cheap. Cheap. We lived in a 2-bedroom. For Cali, yeah, it was $400 a person, but it was 3 dudes in a 2-bedroom, and one dude lived on the couch. And then we moved into a cool little spot that it was a house that had a backyard, and it was like $600 a person. By the time we left, they hiked up the rent so far. It was like we were paying $18.50 or something a month, and then like overnight they got a new landlord, and it was like $2,700. And so
that's that corporations, man. Corporations are buying up real estate, and they're all fixing the prices. It's crooked.
It is, and they're pushing people out. They're pushing out the poor people. They're pushing out the artists. Like in Ocean Beach was a very artist-laden community, and lots of hippies, lots of homeless. But like it was still like a very artsy part of the city. And so they're just bringing in all these like corporate douchebags. Tech is starting to invade.
That's Austin. I mean, same thing happened in Austin. I mean, I live on the east side. The east side of Austin is like the historically black area of town. I mean, I don't say that just because there were black people living here. It's because it was redlined back in the 20s where like you couldn't live, if you were a black person, you couldn't live on the other side of the city. And what's happened in Austin is just all this real estate's been flipped and bought by corporations. They either fix the rent or they remodel the house and charge an exorbitant amount of money, and they've pushed out everybody who used to live here. And it's gentrification, but I was an artistic type that didn't make a lot of money for a really long time, and I was able to afford to live over here. And now it's completely changed. We were just very fortunate to buy when we did, because we couldn't afford to buy our own house, and we're both gainfully employed people. Yeah. So it's just crazy that, the prices, it's like, who's going to be able to own this property at a certain point? It's going to reach a breaking point where people just can't afford it. Like regular people who have good jobs are not going to be able to afford what these corporations are doing to the real estate market. And the Chinese are investing in real estate, and we don't talk about that enough. There's like companies that say that's like, U.S. Holdings Limited, and it's like it's actually owned by some Chinese investor who's just buying up real estate all over the country.
Yeah, no, that is weird, man. That is weird how much the Chinese are invested in our
and the movie industry too.
Movie industry and our culture. Yeah, man. No, there's the waterfront down here in my city, Toledo. That was all bought out by the Chinese, and we're just a little shit city. Fuck it, and they're still like, we're in here. They're and not to disparage the Chinese folks, because Chinese people are great and love them all.
We're on a Zoom call. They're probably listening to us right now.
Exactly. But it's interesting. I mean, like they just like TikTok. Do you fuck with TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
I have like tried to stay away from TikTok as much as I possibly can. But it seems like I need to be on it to promote the music. I've seen like there's like I've looked at doing like this website called Submit Hub. And I was pushing our music to like, promoters and things like that who like have Spotify playlists. They have TikTok influencers who like will play your song or do a little dance to it or something.
Right.
And, I haven't had a lot of luck on there. I got on a few playlists, but like, I guess I got to start messing with TikTok because that's where people are getting new media these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was the same way, but I got in, and now they got me. They fucking got their hooks in me. But it is true.
Really?
It is true. If you are a musician, not being on TikTok is not detrimental, but it's definitely like where you're seeing the whole meta as in like Instagram and Facebook, they're on their downslope right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And TikTok has definitely just sort of surpassed everything. I heard that TikTok has more watch hours than YouTube, and YouTube's been around for like years now. So,
yeah, YouTube's like long form TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So like you got to imagine what kind of reach that is, and how much people are invested in that. I mean, like I'll sit there for hours, bro. Like if I have hours to spend, I will just sit there, and it hits that ADHD thing. Oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. And
that's another reason that I've not gone to like download it. Another thing is like a good thing you can do to try and not be so addicted to it is put that icon on the very, very back page of your cell phone. Put all the social media apps on the very, very back page, and maybe lock the folder it's in with a password.
Yeah.
So like you can't just like autopilot to it and be like, oh, you have to make a conscious decision to look at your social media. Like I used to be on Instagram and Facebook way more often than I am now.
Yeah.
And like my wife will send me a DM of some funny Instagram video she sees. She's like, did you watch the video I sent you? I'm like, no, I haven't been on Instagram today.
Yo, no, I turned off all my notifications for everything. Like my notifications are turned off.
I've had them off for years. It drives me nuts. It's like, honestly, I don't care if somebody likes my photo or something.
No, I feel you.
I don't know. It's like these things that we think matter, internet points and, things that you post. It's like, it's tough being a musician because it's a necessary evil these days. You have to be involved in the social media. And it's like, I don't care what people think about what I'm doing with my life. I have a very small amount of people who follow me on my personal Instagram and stuff. It's like 200 something people. And it's like, I try to keep it to people that like, I would want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't really know you very well, I'm not going to like reach out and talk to you. I just am that kind of person. I just don't really care. And it's tough for me to have the brain power to just be like, know everybody, talk to everybody. And I guess that's not a good trait for somebody who's trying to like be a promoter.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what's, like TikTok is this very, I don't know, man. It's hitting the young people right now. And what I found sort of this hack where I'm able to, because I have my own music that I release under W.S.E.G. And I'll use that on videos that I take from the podcast or I put together. Yeah. And I use my own music, and they pay out pretty decently on that app. So like, you get 0.0002% or whatever of a penny on these streams, but after time, you do get a payout. I've gotten payouts before from through CD Baby or
wherever you release it from.
Exactly. But so I've been getting decent traction on some of these things on Instagram. Instagram pays, through Facebook they pay. So like I've been using all my own music on these posts, and then they'll get like 10,000 plays, and so that's not bad. It's something. And so it's not bad. But I brought up TikTok because it just recently came out that the Chinese are intercepting the data from TikTok.
It's been well known.
Right. And like what's interesting, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump at all, but like he was trying to put sort of a stop to TikTok. Yeah. And we weren't having it. Like, I need my TikTok. I don't care.
I'm not a fan of his either, but he was one of the first people who I was hearing say like China's like fucking with our shit.
Yeah, for real. And he was the only one who would say anything about it. And so it was
because probably the other politicians are like have been invested. He was invested in by the Russians, and then all the other politicians are invested in by the Chinese.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you see how our current president, how his family is tied into China and Ukraine. And that's where the problems are happening right now, like not so much China, but even China with Taiwan that they want to take.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
That's where most of the silicon chips are made in the world, is in Taiwan. That's an incredibly important American position. It's Taiwan. That's where we get most of the chips that make our electronics. And if the Chinese wanted it back, I bet America says this is probably the line we draw in the sand.
Yeah. And so here we are, it's just the corruption is so rampant, and there's so many ties that I don't know if it almost seems like a natural progression to sort of how these big corporations become these conglomerations, and it just sort of gets swept up with politicians from all these different countries who are invested in these companies, and everybody's sort of doing these mergers. And when you look at things like the World Economic Forum, and you have it does seem like it's just sort of this natural progression for where all these sort of different countries are sort of coming together, and they're getting their fucking little grubby hands over on everything, and it's just becoming this corporate state that's really, really fucking scary. And when you look at things like the social credit system they have in China, and how the World Economic Forum...
you watch Black Mirror?
Oh, fuck yeah, man. That shit...
you watch that... Yeah, I mean, you're talking about some Black Mirror shit right now.
Of course. Yeah. And then when you see those dogs that they have that are just walking around talking shit, that reminds me of Black Mirror too, the little spider dogs that went around murdering people.
It's only a matter of time till there is an organization that has those as enforcers for their shit. You can't go out and protest because there's going to be robots that will kill you. And it's scary stuff. And it's I just don't know where to go. Do I move to Costa Rica? Is that going to be any better?
Yeah. What is the solution? What do you do? I mean, do you go up in the mountains and you just try to be self-sustainable as possible? And
get some solar panels and a well.
Who knows what the answer is, but it's quickly becoming sort of this corporatized police state where we're literally giving up our rights for these said conveniences. And
on the way to happening, and what I see happening in the next 50 to 100 years is I see what's happening with water in the country right now, and it's kind of a brushed aside problem. It should be a national emergency. If you look at the Colorado River right now, there's how many people live in the Southwest and California and Vegas and Arizona who are serviced by the Colorado River. It's probably 20 or 30, maybe more, 40 million people, and all the farming and the breadbasket of America, or all the niche foods that are in California. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a scarcity of water, and there's going to be corporations that start buying up the water, and they're going to be militant in who they control, who gets that water. And it's going to be Mad Max world, where there's deserts and then there's people who have the water. And it's going to be scary. I mean, unless the polar ice caps melt and we start, I've seen politicians legitimately suggest melting icebergs for water usage.
Well, I mean, I don't know if, you talk about the ocean, you have these coastal cities, and, desalinization is something that is viable, that could happen.
Desalinization of water, you mean?
Yeah, where you take it, because in San Diego, there was a desalinization plant, which I think ended up closing down because of environment.
It's so expensive too. It's
expensive, but
it doesn't deliver the amount of water you need either.
Right, but it could if it was invested, if we cared and we wanted to do it. But one of the biggest problems with the plant was the environmental setbacks from environmentalists, which, again, I care about the earth. I care about, keeping this shit together. But it's they didn't want to disrupt the microorganisms and the animals in the area. And it's when is it going to come to this point where it's where we're going to be choosing microorganisms over, fucking
or critical
humans.
Mass. Probably at the point where we've overfished the ocean and all the plant life in the ocean dies, and we're just fuck it, there's nothing left to save in there anymore.
Let's just start drinking that shit, son.
I mean, if you've seen how wildly overfished the ocean, I mean, we're killing the planet. The bottom line is that people are killing, and we're not. I say that kind of in, like I said earlier, in the wrong way. We are just making the planet inhospitable to human life. We are not going to kill the planet. In fact, if we stopped existing for 500 years, everything else would be fine.
Right.
The oceans would refill with fish life and marine life, and the forests would regrow, and there almost might be no evidence we were ever here. Yeah. So I mean, we are so self-important of a race of people, of human beings. It's like we're actually not that important. We're really good at just consuming and shitting and making trash. We are really good at that.
We're great at it, son. We are fucking. That's our best. That's our best trait, I guess. When you sit here and we have these sort of like doomer conversations, and you're with a baby on the way. What
I know. I'm thinking about that while I talk to you about it.
What does that evoke in you? What kind of emotion does that evoke in you?
I've just got to teach this kid about the world and teach him in like a smart way to think about it. A lot of children aren't raised with the mindset of like, what's the world going to look like when you're my age? What's the world going to look like when you're 50? And if you teach them at a young age, like, hey, you need to learn about conserving resources now. You need to learn about being an advocate for environmentalism, because there's a lot of people on the planet who do not give a fuck about what happens to it, because they're here now, and by the time these problems hit, they're going to be dead. And that's how people have lived for generations. And if you need to teach the next generation to not be that way, or else, I mean, things are going to get so bad we're not going to be able to save ourselves. And I mean, it's tough because like I eat beef and I drive a gas powered car, and the problem is, as an individual, you don't want to be just like one person making a change when everybody else is happy watching the world burn. So it takes like a lot of people making these changes. We probably have to go to a world where we're like in COVID lockdown, where people aren't driving. You can only make trips for the the bare necessities. And we live in a much more closed off society where there's like less freedom to travel unless you absolutely had to, less vacations. For the sake of the planet, you're going to consume less if you're, stationary. But, I'm getting on my high horse here, and I don't do any of these things. So I'm not going to feel like I'm a saint.
Yeah, I threw away a soda can earlier today. I was like, done in the trash.
I mean, I get mad because we compost on our kitchen countertop. And I like just get upset every time we open that thing. I'm like, it fucking stinks.
This is bullshit.
I know. It's like I make my wife take it out. I'm like, I hate this fucking shit. It stinks. It's like we have like a whole colony of bacteria growing on our kitchen countertop right now.
Oh yeah, no. It's hard. It's hard to do your part. I missed this question earlier. Morgana wants to know what part of Pennsylvania you were from.
I was born in Phoenixville, and then I lived in Hershey, PA, Chocolate Town, USA.
Hey, Hershey Town, let's go. They got like a theme park there, don't they?
Oh yeah, Hershey Park.
Yeah,
I've been there many times.
Yeah.
Super duper looper. That was my favorite ride.
we got a place called Cedar Point that's near us.
I'm familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been there, but I mean, like I was like as a kid, I was a roller coaster aficionado. I played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah. Waynesboro and Chambersburg area. That's where you're.
She's west of the Susquehanna.
I don't know what that means. But I love it. Actually, Pennsylvania is actually a really beautiful state, and that's like the sort of the beginning of the Appalachia. So it's like
it's like the very top of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's some really cool hiking up there you can do. And Pittsburgh has been one of those cities that sort of come up in the last 15, 20 years.
I've heard good things about Pittsburgh. I mean, living in Pennsylvania, I was like an East Pennsylvania person, like, living outside of Philly, and then, living in Hershey. I never really went to Western PA very much. We went to that Frank Lloyd Wright house, Falling Water, one time, and I was like the furthest west I'd ever been in my whole life. Until we moved to Colorado, which was really west.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, Colorado's beautiful, man. I love that place. What part of Colorado did you move?
Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's such a gorgeous place. It's weird how Colorado works, because it's like as soon as you climb out of the Rockies, that's just like boom, it's just flat for miles. And miles.
Yeah, it's like if you land on the airport in Denver, it's like Denver, Iowa.
Exactly, man.
It's like you can't even see the mountains from the airport, and then you look out, you're like, oh, I get it. The Front Range is like that, it's just like flat. And then all of a sudden, boom, mountains.
Yeah, it's really weird. I drive the last of my shit from San Diego a couple years ago. I had to drive the last of my shit back because my what was it?
That's a hell of a drive, man. That's a hell of a drive.
And I had to get home to play gigs. So I was like, man, we were broke and I had to like drive and I had to make it. So I drove into town from just driving days and days and days and then fucking went straight to the gig. And oh my God, I was like,
how was that? I probably I would have been dead.
Well, I mean, surprisingly, it wasn't bad, but like the room was dead. It was a Friday night at a pretty popular club, but the room was dead. So it was like, and it was a cover band. And I'm just like, let's just get through these fucking songs over with. Like,
oh, I know that feeling, dude. It's like you don't like you played a gig where you have to piss really bad. Sometimes it's like your brain has to piss, and you're like, I don't want to be here right now.
I'm checking out, son. I'm checking out. It was fun though, because like, you know, it's nice to be. I was surrounded by friends, and we could play, you know, and it was like fun to play with them, and so it was fine.
Yeah,
but
it's a good feeling.
But it was like you know, oh, fuck, especially when there's no energy to bounce off of. It's like playing into the void, and you're just puking all this energy out to nobody.
Sometimes I just close my eyes when I'm playing. Sometimes, and I'll just like check out. I'll play the songs, the notes are hitting, but I'm like, I'm not there right now.
Yeah, hey, so whatever gets it through the gig, man. And you know, like, obviously you're good enough to where you can sort of check out like that and stay in the groove and keep it moving. But man, it is tough, man. It is a rough gig when it's like there's nothing going on. And
people don't care anymore, man. Like back when music, like live music was a thing, it was like you went out to see a band. Like that was your entertainment for tonight. And now people are like more entertained by flipping through their Instagram feed, and live music is just like a thing that's happening around them. And it's like the burden of choice, you know, so you can like go do another club where your friend is and take a picture for your TikTok feed or whatever and do a little dance. And nobody cares if the band's playing. They don't even care what song you're playing unless they recognize it. People like what they know. They don't know what they like. So if they hear some song from the 90s, they're like, woo, third eye blind.
Yeah.
And then they'll dance to your one song and then they're out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you try to sneak an original in, they're just like, what is this?
Or they're like, this is when I leave.
For real. It's like I'm going to go to the club and dance to fucking... I don't even know what they dance to anymore. I don't
know. I don't
Doja Cat, I think. Doja Cat they dance to. That's something that they do.
Doja Cat's popular. I saw she was having some drama with one of the Stranger Things boys.
That's just hilarious. She was trying to get up in the DMs of Eddie Munster.
One of the other actors.
Yeah. Do you watch Stranger Things?
No, I watched the first couple of seasons. My wife is all up to date right now. But I haven't been able to get in. I don't really watch a whole lot of TV. We've actually been rewatching Game of Thrones lately.
Oh, well, that leads to a disappointment. But hey, you know, whatever.
Well, you know, I agree that the last season was disappointing. But I'm wondering now that I'm watching it from the beginning to end again, if I'm going to feel differently about it, like than I did in the moment where you're waiting right. for this final season to come out, and we watch it, we're like, this shit sucks. But like maybe if you watch it in succession and you see all the like storylines they try to tie into it, maybe I won't feel the same way. But they left so many storylines that never went anywhere. That kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, well, they literally phoned in the last season, but there were some really great moments in that last season, you know. But I felt like a lot of it was just sort of rushed through, and like,
oh yeah,
it
was like they tried to like knit together a sweater with like 5,000 balls of yarn, and then like they couldn't use all the yarn.
Well, Morgana, that's what makes you a good audience member. Morgana says, I am weird. I'm the weird one that only knows the band's original, and most of the covers I have no clue who sings them. And
she's a fan.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Someone who cares about music. That's what's interesting about Twitch as well.
The dying breed.
Yeah, it really is. What's cool about Twitch is that you really do find like people who really do appreciate the original music, and there's a whole music scene. Are you familiar with Twitch at all? Besides it being a gaming platform?
I know about like what it's all about. I'm not much of a gamer, but I've got plenty of friends who are huge gamers, have their own Twitch streams and things like that. So
yeah, there's a big music community on it as well. It's
interesting.
It's pretty cool. It's just, you know, it's live streaming, but it's still like this. I don't know. It like during the pandemic, it was it was a safe haven. It was a refuge for me and my wife when all of our gigs were, canceled and everything went to shit. But it's definitely a really rocking little music scene on here that spills into the real world. And like, there's some really good musicians on here who do like, they'll link up with other streamers like in LA and in Atlanta and stuff, and they'll put on live shows and they'll stream the show and people come out. So it really is a really cool way to sort of garner like really true fans, and the people who are on here really want to hear music. So yeah, I actually had somebody on from Austin a couple weeks ago. I can't remember his fucking name. That's how fucking great I am at this job.
Can't plug your guests after they've been on.
Phil Luna, that's his name. His name is Phil Luna.
Okay, I'm not familiar with him.
He's a guitarist and a singer-songwriter, and he plays
Cool.
out. I think he does mostly the cover circuit. So, but
Gotcha.
Is that what you guys do too? You guys play covers and stuff as well, right? You guys.
Yeah. We have our original music, and we like our EP release. We did last Saturday, a little over a week ago. We did 90% covers at that show, and I got a lot of good feedback from that. But yeah, we've got a whole like bank of covers, like 50 of them. So if we want to go play a 3-hour gig and just try and make some money, play a private event, we can do that too. I mean, you got to be able to make your coin somehow on like original gigs. Unless you've got a huge following, you're not going to be able to make enough money to make it worth your while, and it keeps musicians interested to do those gigs. I can pay them a couple nice private gigs, and I'll be like, all right, hey, play this original gig for free for me.
Yeah, it definitely helps to have money involved. How do you?
It's
what? So do you do all the management? Do you do all the? I mean, you write and you arrange.
Yeah,
horn.
I do everything.
So you do everything.
I manage the band. I book all the shows, handle the money. I mean, it's just like my business basically. I'm the owner and the operator and everything. And I just basically got a bunch of contractors who work for me. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. And it's tough because like I've got people who are more invested than others. Like the singer, she's more invested in it than say the trumpet player. Because it's her product too. It's her voice, and it's more personal than your instrument. I think your voice. So but it's tough because it's not as much of a like group effort as I wish it could be. It's just tough because it's so many people, and I've had a hard time getting people to stick around at certain positions long term. Like aside from Omar, the drummer, and Annalise has been in the band since 2016, so she's been in it for a minute. And I've got like a bass player who I've worked with since 2017. He's Argentinian and he's hilarious. His accent cracks me up every time he talks. But he plays in a cover band. That's his main source of income. And so a lot of times he's not available for our gigs. Like I'll book a Saturday night somewhere. He's like, "No man, I gotta play at this other place." And so he, I gotta get a backup bass player, and I've got a guy I'm training up right now, and it's the same thing with like horn players. They play in cover bands, and keyboard players. Keyboard players are just like horn players. They just go where the wind blows them. They take the best paid gig most of the time. So I mean, that's just musicians.
Guilty.
Yeah. So that's what I deal with. It's just being a band leader, and every band leader's got the same story to tell. If you've ever led a band, you've had guys who are like, "I don't want to play that gig tonight. Do we have to play this gig? It's like the night of the show." You're like, "I booked it to play it."
Yes, you asshole. Please show up.
I book it to maybe play it.
Right. No, that is tough, man. Me and my wife, we ran a band for a few years out in San Diego, and we even tried to put one together here. But it's like we've always come back to just acoustic duo because it's just we can
make more money doing it.
We make more money. All the money's in house, and it's like and where I'm at in geographically, people it's more tailored to a singer songwriter acoustic setup. Just because bands, you got to pay them more, and there's places
you got to play anywhere. You can play anywhere. You can just bring a PA speaker and your instruments, and you're ready to go.
Exactly. So it works for us, but ever since the pandemic, we've been really choosy with what we do, and
for sure.
So we're more likely to play like a retirement center than like a bar because again, like you were saying, you play a bar any night of the week, and people are, they're there, they're just drinking, or like who you don't know who you're gonna get. Are you getting a music fan? Are you getting people who are so drunk they're gonna try to like come and try to touch your stuff? Yeah, tourists, exactly.
You're getting tourists who might blow through, and they're like, "We're from Ohio."
Yeah, for real though. And yeah, that was the thing in San Diego too. Is like you're mostly playing for tourists. It was a destination.
Yeah,
so
there's a whole cover scene here for tourists. I mean, if you want to go play downtown and play in the touristy areas, that's a whole business. That's a whole business here. And I played with bands that do that, and it's just I did it a lot for just making $100 or just making some quick cash just to play an easy gig, a bunch of covers I already know, and it's just like a hustle, and it's not my hustle anymore. If I don't have to make that money, I'm not going to go play on 6th Street where people are getting shot every weekend.
Well, being a new dad, I mean that you start thinking about those things. Like I was touring and stuff as a new father, and every time I go out now, and I still will fly out for tours out west. And, each time I'm just like, well, I hope I don't die. My son grows up fatherless.
I hope you have life insurance.
Which I don't, because I'm a fucking poor ass musician. But
hey, they say those commercials, you can do it for $1 a day.
Come on, man. No, I ended up having to get a day job after 7 years of being my own boss.
So you said you worked at a retirement home.
Yeah, I work in the kitchen, and so it's not a bad gig. I live right across the street from it, so I walk to work and everything. Nice. And it's part-time and stuff. So like I'm still, a big part of my time is the podcast and music and stuff. But it's still cool. I needed something that, and I'm getting old, man. I'm almost 40. I'm like, I don't want to haul my equipment out and
Dude, I feel that.
3 in the morning. And
do you have a dolly? Do you have a little collapsible dolly for your equipment?
Bro, I got my shit down to where my keyboard goes on my back. My fucking I have a little amp. And then I have my keyboard stand, and that's it. So I just walk all in.
So
with
you're
my shit. I don't fuck around.
When I play bass, I have my bass, the amp, and that's it.
Yeah.
I have all my cables in my bass case. And like, I love playing bass gigs because it's like, I can just show up and play, and I can walk. I have one trip to the car. When I play like gigs with Steady Legend, I have so much more gear. I have like my pedal board, my amp, and I bring a mic stand because I have a little like a vocal effect thing that I use, and that's on the stand. And like, so I bring the merch. It's a lot more stuff to bring. And it's like, I got to find like the best place. I'm like more shit than the drummer has.
Oh yeah, man. I used to be that keyboard player who would show. I was in a hip hop band out in San Diego, and I would be setting up my shit, and the drummer would be goddamn done. Everybody's waiting for me. And I'm just like, God.
Did you have like a double decker?
Yeah, of course I did. I had an iPad with a fucking MIDI thing. I'm just like, come on, man. So no, I got over that real quick once I started really working in the scene.
Oh, it's a sage, like mature musician move when you see someone show up with like the little bit of gear and they still rock their shit. You're just like, what the hell am I doing showing up with all this shit?
Oh yeah, I mean, remember when like half stacks were cool and you'd fucking people be lugging their Marshalls?
I never thought they were cool. I never thought half stacks were cool. I had a friend who had like a Marshall stack. I'm like, you're a douche.
Yeah, that's like the douchiest thing ever. Is like, you wait till you have to carry that thing up a flight of stairs and like.
So can you help me carry this in? I remember playing a gig. I don't remember where the fuck this was, but I played a gig on like a second floor of some warehouse. And we were going up the outside, fire escape type stairs, the metal stairs. I'm helping him carry in his Marshall stack. I'm just giving him shit the whole time. Like, you need to get a smaller fucking amp, you douche.
For real though. Like, and that's what's great about technology now is that you can get these little combos.
Most touring bands nowadays don't even tour with amps. They tour with those amp modeling things and they just go through the mains. That's it. They have in-ear monitors and they go through the mains.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you do that? You don't need
a trailer. You just tour on a tour bus. You got your guitar and your stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, man. That's the way to go. Like, I can't deal with just heavy shit all the time, and that's what sucks when we're doing these like even acoustic gigs. It's like, do we need a PA? Oh, damn, we need to take one speaker and our little mixer. Damn it.
Oh my God, a PA speaker.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
fuck it.
Imagine what like things used to be like in like the 60s or 70s when there like wasn't really like any on stage amplification. It was just like turn your amp up to 10.
Right. Just blast it and let's go. Oh, Jesus.
That's where those came from. I mean, that's where that like the stack and everything came from. Was like the days where like there wasn't any reamplification. It was just go.
Yeah, for real.
Your
man.
thing is the sound for the show tonight. But I don't know. I haven't seen anyone roll up to a show with a Marshall stack, and I think if I did, I'd tell them what an asshole they are.
Right? Like who the?
Oh, do you follow Riggs of Dad on Instagram?
I don't, but I want to.
Go follow Riggs of Dad.
I'm about to.
You'll love it. You will love it.
Riggs of Dad. This is gonna be great. Hold on. Let's.
Oh my God. You're gonna love it. It's like if you've been a musician for any given amount of time, it's gonna be right up your alley.
Come on, fucker. What's going on here? Riggs of Dad. Oh, here it is. It pops right up. Boom. And I'm following, and we're gonna look at it because we can take no prisoners. Look at this guy.
The captions are really where it's at, man.
I know it's late, but this is just like, keeping me up. The happy birthday to all the dads out there.
No, it's like a a parody thing where it's like they make up stories about the pictures that they're posting.
They told us our gods would outlive us, but they lied. Nick Cage. Oh shit. Fuck everything. Yo, there's so many of these bands around here. Like, there's just so many dad gigs.
That's why I thought you'd love it. I'm like, these are like Ohio dad band things.
For real. Chuck Norris. Oh, shit. We got Chucky. Oh, do you guys, have you guys done any kind of touring at all as a Steady Legend?
It's tough for a large band. You know how like it would be traveling. But we've been around Texas. We played pretty much everywhere around Texas. But we haven't hit the road outside of the state, and I just don't know if there's a demand for it. We've been hit up by a couple of record labels since we released this EP, and they're like, we can help you with booking. I'm like, is there a demand for it?
Right.
Are we just gonna pay you to book us and not make any money?
Right. It's a bad business model. It really is.
The music industry is full of scams, man. I mean, all these people who email you and they're like, oh, we're gonna promote your shit. It's like, well, no, I don't want you to pay you to do nothing.
Right. No, exactly, man. It's such a hard business to be in, man. Like, especially as time goes on, as music becomes more accessible to more people, as technology becomes more accessible to more people.
How much more accessible could it be? I was actually talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, we're at the limit, I feel like, of like what technology can do for communication. And like, we're already having a video chat that's, no latency. It's a real-time video chat. How could we make this better without going to like virtual reality or the metaverse? Right. And it's like every piece of media that's ever been created is pretty much available to you on demand at any moment. Like, how much better can things possibly be in terms of availability? And that's like I was saying earlier, the burden of choice. It's like there's too much. Yeah. It's like back in the day, you had to buy an album and you had to like that band and you listened to that album into the ground. You listened to every song on that record and you learned every part of it. You heard the little secret triangle hit that's at the very end of whatever song on track 6. Yeah, and now it's like you're lucky if someone listens to your song for 10 seconds.
Right. Absolutely. It's definitely that choice. I mean, like, I've been talking this for a long time, but like, I'll hear about a new band and fucking be like really into them, and then like, a month later I've forgotten about that band, and then all of a sudden I'll see something, maybe they release something new, I'll be, oh my god, I forgot about that band. Like, it's just Spotify and Tidal and Google Play, all these
I try to put playlists together so I remember things. Like, if I go find a new band I like a tune off their record, I'll go put like a playlist together. And I might like put like a couple bands that I listened to at that time in my life, and I'll like kind of save them as like little landmarks of time. Yeah. And then I'll go back and listen to them.
That's actually a really good idea. And you put it in your computer to see the extra CD-ROM perks. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember they had like the enhanced CD.
Yeah, man.
See, like,
Incubus, they had I think Science had like a game you could play on that
was
album.
a dope album too.
I love that album. Love that album. It's so good, man. I just was talking to somebody who was the guitar or the bass teacher to the bass player, and
really?
yeah, and he was, that was his claim to fame, I guess. Not really. He was actually really Brandon Boyd for life. Yeah, hey, he's a sexy motherfucker. No, but he's like a Los Angeles staple, and he's played on like with Motown and Capitol Records and stuff. But he's one of those like background players who I love talking to the background players. That's my.
Oh, I mean, you
shit.
realize that like if you look at like Nashville or like LA session players, a lot of those guys are the same guys who play on tons of the records.
Yeah,
it's you really, once you reach that like top of the top, something like if you like look at Toto, for example, Toto has played on so many people's records. If you go look at like their backing band, I mean, they were like Steely Dan, they played with Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And, it's like, and you should go look up their band and see how many like records those guys played on. Like Billie Jean was actually, that riff was written by like the Toto guitar player.
What the fuck? Toto backing band. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. That's
those guys are some of the best session musicians of all time.
Oh, Thriller, they played it on the Thriller, Human Nature. Wow, man, the talent, that is fucking incredible. I had no idea. I mean, and I like Toto, man. Who doesn't like Africa? That's incredible.
I mean, Toto, if you go listen to some of their other records, it's like they had like video game rock, like more like Rush for some of their other records.
That's tight, man. Oh, they definitely had their own little thing going on, but what the fuck, dude? I had no idea that they were doing it like that. And so
they're for real.
Well, we're hitting on our 2-hour mark, so we're starting to wind down here. You have the new album out. Everybody should definitely go and check out the new or the new EP, I should say, which is Hey Legend, which you guys can definitely get down with. I put a link in the
Say Hey by Steady Legend, not Hey Legend.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that you fucking correct me, and it's right fucking there. And I was trying to do too many things at once, and it just Hey Legends.
Well, we're on all of these streaming platforms.
Yeah, so go ahead in the chat. I put in the link, so make sure you go and click on those motherfuckers. And then if you're listening on the audio side, make sure you're in the show notes, y'all. It's in there. I got links to their album and to their website, and then of course from there you can go and find them on all the social media platforms. Make sure you're giving them a follow. Make sure you're giving them a listen. Run those numbers up, you crazy motherfuckers, because these guys are badass. Should we end with a song? Should we end with a song?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Let's just go over here. Where I thought I had you pulled up. Okay, well then I'll just use this song whip and go right there.
But you like Say Hey? You like the album track?
Yeah. Let's listen to Say Hey. Let's go. Okay.
Like I said, should I do like a director's cut and talk you through the song, or you just want to listen to it?
Well, you could talk afterwards, but I definitely want a clean thing, especially for the audio, for the thing. So here we're gonna
I'll
listen.
mute my mic.
All right, fair enough. Me too. We're gonna listen to "Say Hey" from Steady Legend. This is off the name. It's named. Is it self-titled? No, that's not self-titled. The fucking name of the EP is called "Say Hey," and this is the song.
This is the title track.
Title track. Thank you, Mighty. How dare you? Okay, well we gotta give Mighty some love before. Thank you for that gifted sub. And then we're gonna listen to Say Hey, and after we do this. So here you go, Mighty. Thank you so much.
Hello, Mighty. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I want to give you a huge thank you, a big ol' splits, and the as a thank you for all that you do for this channel.
All right, thank you, Mighty, for that for that gifted sub. And here you go, everybody. This is Say Hey from Steady Legend.
Party's here, keep back and let it steal. Get up, 'cause the hitter it while the pocket is high. Gotta groove 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 it while the pocket is high.
Oh, we're going straight to the next song. Yeah, we'll just turn it down. Oh, okay. Dude, such a smashing song, man. That's so good. You said you had some directors that cut. Oh, thank you, Mighty, for those claps. Appreciate that. You said there was a director's notes that you wanted to add.
I was gonna tell you how about what a Frankenstein song that is. It's like we recorded that song back in 2016, and the horns and the bass are from that session, and then the drums and the vocals and the guitar and the keys. I think that only half of the keys are from the 2019 session when we actually recorded that, like, because it was done in 2 different sessions. So like the horn section we had in that 2016 session was banging, and I had already mixed that horn together. So that's like I bounced the horn straight out as a mixed section, kind of like as a sample, and I just put it in the next session. And the bass track, I really love the bass part that our old bass player did. So that's the only track on the EP where he plays bass, our old bass player, Dan. He's the guy from San Diego. I thought maybe you guys had crossed paths at some point if you were in the reggae scene in San Diego.
What's his name, though? Dan what?
Dan Milliken.
I don't know. I'm bad with names as well.
Yeah, I just when I listen to that, I probably hear like, so many different layers than anybody else ever hears, because I've heard that song 1,000 times and I put it together and I know all the little nooks and crannies of that song. So director's cut's kind of funny when you do things like that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Why? So you had to split up the recording. Was it just you guys? Was it the pandemic? What made you have to split that up?
When we recorded it in 2016, we sought our old singer, and some of the stuff we did in the studio we recorded it in the first time was at a really nice studio. So like it was done really high quality. And the guys we had, especially the trumpet player on that recording, was like, they were really good players. So it was just like, why have to go back and retrack it when you've got like this recording already? So we just clicked it out to the same tempo, and that was done intentionally to reuse some of those tracks. And the keys on that, the organ I think I reused was on like a really badass B3 in the studio, and had like a vintage Leslie cab. And I'm like, I'm just not going to be able to replicate that again. So I might as well just use that again. And the keys player we had was good. So it's like, you bastardize and Frankenstein together a song, but I mean, you're really just utilizing the parts that you have. And I saved all of my old sessions for like the past like 10, 12 years. And then my hard drive died in 2020. So I lost everything. And I still have that hard drive, and I've been like, what if I take it to a clean room and get it like, recovered? And it's like, it's $3,000.
Oh, it's 3,000. Jesus, holy shart. That's.
They said because it's damaged. Like it was. I think because it fell over on my desk and it was still running. And so I was like, and now I've tried to like get into a clean room. They're like, it's like we have to like painstaking, and you might not get everything back. And the thing is, it's like Pro Tools sessions and stuff. And they're like real specific places with files in specific places. And if I try and open up that session, it's like missing half of it. It's like, what's the point?
No, I feel that, man. I did the same shit. But I mean, I didn't have, you know, all those sessions out there, but I had some songs on there, and I dropped my hard drive, and it just never came back to life, and I was just, it's so
back
sad.
up your backups, dude. Back up to a physical drive, and then back your physical drive up to a cloud drive.
Yeah, man, that's the key. It's like you got to back all your shit up. My one, when I was learning sound engineering in college, my teacher or my professor would be like, dude, 3 times, like, and we were using CD-ROMs and shit, so it was like, back it up on the CD, back it up on a did we have, we had thumb drives and shit, back it up, you know, like 3 different CDs if you have to, but always have 3 different copies. And
that's the rule, and I've never lived by that till now. I've got 2 hard drives, and I back up everything in Google Drive. I pay for like the terabyte of Google space. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, why not? Fuck it, dude. Like, no, I did that cloud space. They're just charging for everything. Man, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. I had such a great time chatting with you, and thank you for sitting through it. And you know,
Mike, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on. This was a good time. I wish that more of the band could have made it. The singer wanted to make it. She said that, you know, people got work at these hours, and I was able to, you know, work from home and slip away. I was actually kind of doing a little bit of work while we were talking.
Well, hey, shit, I'm glad you were able to multitask and get some shit done. I really appreciate it, man. I had a great time chatting, and again, everybody, make sure you go and check out Say Hey by Steady Legend. And again, I'm going to drop those in the chat again, just so y'all have your access. And if you're listening on audio, make sure you're in the show notes. Everybody, put your hands together for Michael Mancuso. Mancuso. I love him.
You're from Ohio. You gotta know some Italians.
I know some. I have a good friend who is pretty whoppy. He's pretty whoppy, but he's you know. But man, I appreciate it, and I'll be in touch. I'll be sending out the audio version to you guys as well.
Awesome.
So everybody, put your hands together. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night, buddy. Who canceled me? How dare you? Am I canceled because I said whoppy? I thought you could say all the bad things about white people. We just can't say it about anybody. I thought you could just go in on the whites. I thought the whites were open season these days. You can go in on the whites.